Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. I want to preface this video by saying I make videos like this. I know it stirs up a lot of consternation out there in the sort of ether of the internet or out there in expat land. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video more or less is to continue to debunk the nonsense that is in both the legacy media, and as I'll get to here in a moment, namely the Bangkok Post, and also the nonsense that seems to be just swirling around the internet otherwise by a bunch of people who have no qualification nor any real experience or understanding how tax systems work, talking about these things, especially those foreigners who are discussing substantive Thai law, completely in contravention of the restricted occupations, and all of you are acting criminally. And the point and the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm trying to debunk this nonsense because it's freaking people out. It's not based on any reality right now. And then meanwhile, there's a lot of hyperbole in a lot of the media that quite honestly is making this worse. What am I talking about? I actually thought of making this video after reading a recent article that was sent by a viewer who emailed us. Credit where credit's due. I'm going to throw up the print version on screen because they emailed me a copy of the print version. I did go and look it up on bangkokpost.com and, confirm that that was what it said. But we're going to throw this up from the print version. Article is titled BOI, that's Board of Investment, BOI eager to dull minimum tax pain. I'm doing another video contemporaneously with this one where I beg the question, what's BOI doing talking about tax policy? Why didn't BOI go back to adjudicating concessions for foreign investment? I didn't know they were in the tax business. That's the Revenue Department, but I'll get into that in another video. In any event, quoting directly, under a new law being drafted, quoting again, under a new law being drafted by the Revenue Department, individuals residing in Thailand for 180 days or more must pay personal income tax on overseas earnings, regardless of whether that income is brought into Thailand. I'm going to make other videos contemporaneously with this one where I get into some of the nuts and bolts of the other things they're talking about in that article. That said, I urge those who are watching this video to go ahead and read that article for yourselves in full and read it with a big mouthful of salt because there's a whole lot in there that it could sort of cause a lot of, quite honestly, a lot of annoyance, a lot of sort of apprehension or anxiety on the part of the expat community. Let me quote one more time, quoting directly, under a new law being drafted, and I want to state that again, we've done videos on this in the past. The people even talking about promulgating this, most notably, I believe it was somebody within the finance ministry, I did a video on this where they themselves were quoted as saying, this is going to take years to implement. So talking about this and causing everybody a lot of consternation, just a lot of nervousness, I don't see the point. And meanwhile, this is not a foregone conclusion. If you read this article, and again, I'm going to make other videos, they get into the notion of a global minimum tax. Well, who in Thailand ever voted for that? And meanwhile, do we want it? No, they're talking about legislation. That's how legislation works. We talk about it. It goes through Parliament. It goes through due process. We all weigh in, and we may not end up with a new law. Quite honestly, I think this is a bad idea. But long story short, and the thing folks need to get on board with is one, it's only being drafted. It would only pertain to people who were here over 180 days, again, if this comes about the way that they think it will. But again, the thing I really want to drive home with folks is regardless of what you're hearing out there from anywhere, this is from the Bangkok Post, and quite honestly, I'm pretty disappointed in this kind of coverage because it continues to sort of perpetuate a lot of these myths out there that are really freaking people out. There is no policy change here. The law has not changed. They're merely talking about it. So, might not be a bad idea if you are a foreigner out there to, or a possible prospective foreign investor to maybe make your voice heard in whatever way you can, that we don't really want to see this. Quite honestly, I hope the Thais do as well. Because as I get into in another video, this whole notion of a global minimum tax is nonsense to me. I mean, that is just pure intern kind of stuff, as far as I can tell. But that said, the thing to understand and to take away from this video is as of now, All of this type of talk remains a proposal. It is not a foregone conclusion, and you should not treat it as such.